Oh my God. This one job. All right, there we go. I think this thing is doing too much. I'm going Facebook. This social media platform is giving me a tutorial, and I'm just trying to. Sorry. All right, there he is. Let's get it. It is well building Wednesday. It is well building Wednesday. You hear the okay? What is up? What is up? What is up? Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Did you do it? Yeah, I think you did it right. We gonna crop all of this out in the final edits. Hey everybody, this is Rama and Thomas. Oh, Thomas isn't dressed appropriately. And Thomas from I just found something in my pocket from our stop shop. And today is Wealth Building Wednesday. And today's live is going to be about ownership. Um, and so I'm really excited to talk about that. And when I say ownership, it's more so about more ways to get access to ownership. If you have been paying attention, if you're in the Raleigh Durham market, as well as a lot of other areas, but I'm going to put an emphasis on the Raleigh Durham market because this is the one I'm also actively following, the real estate market. The last year has been insane for people who don't own their real estate. The average rental rate has increased anywhere from 20 to 50%. That means if you had $100, you now got to pay $120, $150 for the same thing you were able to buy for $100 mere months ago, right? And so, in that being a factor, it didn't just impact the real estate market. At this point, as a result of the war taking place in Ukraine, we've seen gas prices pretty much double in the last 3 weeks. Would you say, Thomas, about 2 to 3 weeks? Gas prices have doubled, right? And so, in a position like that, in the event you are at the mercy of the person who does own these things to be in charge of what you do or don't have access to, it can do some real damage. And so I just want to take some time to talk about ownership and the multiple facets that anyone could possibly utilize to be able to tap into it. Because when we think ownership, we think one or two things. We think about owning a real estate, or we think about owning your own business. However, there are a lot of alternative ways to take on a position of ownership without having to take on the day-to-day responsibility or task that comes with it. And so that's what I want to talk about. So right before we wrapped up Money Mondays, our very last special guest was an angel investor, right? Our very last guest was an angel investor. And so what is an angel investor? Angel investor is somebody that is able to contribute money to an initiative, an effort, a business, and take an equity stake. Sometimes they'll also be able to contribute their expertise and things of that nature. It drastically varies from arrangement to arrangement. Like was discussed, you can always go catch the recap of that on our YouTube channel at our Stop Shop. However, what that led to be able to be discussed today was the fact that there are a lot of ways to access ownership into something, right? You can start it, you can buy into it, you can be the founder behind it, or you can just have the capacity to contribute enough value that people want you to have some skin in the game, so to speak. So I'm gonna give you a prime example. I like to watch a show called Be Positive, right, which is about is irrelevant. And so in Be Positive, there's this there's one person on the staff of this senior living facility that really keeps the thing running, right? She handles payroll, she handles shift assignment. She handles day-to-day inquiries and billing and all this stuff, right? And so she upped and quit on one episode. And this did some major damage to her employer because there were all these things that couldn't be filled. And so, in an effort to win her back, the employer offered her job back, offered to match the salary increase from the company that tried to poach her. But then the third thing she offered her was an equity stake in the business. Not the additional requirements that came with with owning the business, but an equity stake, a 15% equity stake in the business. So what does that mean? That means when they win, she wins. She wins with the added bonus. And so there are a lot of ways to own something. Some of the most common ways may be buying into it. It may be owning shares, right, through publicly traded platforms, stock market, crypto platform markets, things of this nature. One of the ones that has gone crazy is Forex, right? And Forex, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge what Forex is. Forex is a foreign exchange market, i.e., you are trading currencies. You're not actually, and because all of our currencies actually change frequently in value in comparison to other ones, that is where the profit is made. So you still, at the end of the day, you just own money. You just own it in a different currency for a little while until you decide to convert it back to your own. And so as a result of that, you're able to generate more revenue. But some of the most common ways you can own something is going to be based on share acquisitions, equity acquisitions. That's one of the most common ways. Anybody can own something today. Do you understand? You can own real estate today by buying into a real estate investment trust. You can own shares of most of your most loyally purchased products or services. Your Apples, your HPs, your Microsoft, your probably your favorite shoe brand or clothing brand or jewelry brand. Honestly, every single thing I got on other than these UGG boots, I own. I own the company. I own a share of the company who bought it. I mean, who sells it, right? So that's going to be one of the most common ways you can own companies. Any company that you are super, super diehard loyal to, you could probably be a partial owner of it by buying some shares. You can own. There are always crowd funds. There may be equity based crowd funds, right? There may be organizations who need somebody to have an equity stake for certain purposes, for strategic purposes and things of that nature. However, I think the most important thing is to position yourself. And then there's always the very basic, general model where you can just start something. You can start something and you're the owner because you started it. And it's your love child, your brainchild, your whatever. Whether you formally or informally do it, that's always an option as well. So I think it is super important, however, to position yourself today to think about owning. One of the easiest ways to own, even if you're starting from the bottom, right? You might be eligible for. I was having a conversation with somebody, I will not disclose who, but I was having a conversation with somebody recently and they received Section 8. Did you know you could use Section 8 to pay the mortgage on a house you want to own versus rent? This is the time we are in right now is a time, if you're in that position, to use it for that purpose, not to find somewhere else to rent. It is very much so a time to say, "Ooh, the government is going to give me this money to supplement my housing situation. Let me buy a house with it." Because the Section 8, whatever, I don't know how it works, the voucher value or whatever, it's that full dollar amount that you're eligible for through Section 8 will count as income to go towards the mortgage of your home. So, so that becomes one. This is now a time where if you possess a set of skills, a set of knowledge, or comprehension on something at a deeper level that could be beneficial to somebody else's business or somebody else's vision or somebody else's plan. This is a great time for you to assess what value that holds in your own business and any business, and be able to be willing to offer that up in exchange for equity. That's not to say you have to be required of all the day-to-day that comes with that business, but this is a great time to consider, instead of asking to be paid in cash immediately, to be paid in a equity share for a sustainable relationship with that service or that company, especially if they're starting out. This is a great time to start thinking about the value of equity. If what you can contribute is that valuable, this is a great time to start thinking about more ways to utilize it to access to more ownership without having to start from scratch. In the event you own companies, this is a time to formally structure them where you have the capacity to um, get all the protection you could possibly need in the event you do something innovative, in the event you do something unique, and you in the event you do something that's a niche that people may be inclined to bite off. You should own the intellectual property to that. So you should be thinking about copywriting or trademarking, whatever that is, right? So you own the intellectual property to what it is you've done. Why? How many people remember the old happy birthday song that we all used to sing before the Martin Luther King version of it came, the Stevie Wonder version of it came out? That happy birthday to you. Well, somebody bought the intellectual property to that. And the reason why we don't hear it sung on TV and in media as much or at all now is because they have to be paid every time somebody does that. That is something perfect to own. Um, that is something very, very perfect to own. In the event you already are offering products, services as a part of possibly a brand, possibly not a brand. This is a really great time to actually own take ownership of whatever that is. And there's some simple steps you can start. But say you don't want to own a company, i.e., be responsible, be listed as a CEO, founder, blah, blah, blah. There's some simple steps you can take. This is a great time for you to open up a brokerage account. A brokerage account is the account in which you'll house the shares of any equity you hold in a company, in a public company, i.e., they're mainly going to be stocks, but like I said, they can be other stuff. So let's keep it simple. First, this is a great time for you to open up a brokerage account. Some of the most common brokerage accounts are going to be E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Schwab, Webull, Robinhood. I'm not going to tell you Cash App. I will strongly recommend against Cash App and Venmo equally. But when I say brokerage account, I'm talking about, and I kind of will. I got opinions about all of them, but Schwab is going to be a really good one. And the reason why I would say Schwab, because they give you the option for Schwab slices, i.e., you can start to buy fractional shares starting around about $5, which is good in the event your desire is to own something that's fairly expensive, like Berkshire Hathaway or something like that, right? And so first step is going to be open up a brokerage account. Opening up the brokerage account, if you're opening up something like Webull, which we just learned about, and that's why I posted it in our stories earlier today. Webull right now, they're giving you 5 shares just to open up the account. Why is that beneficial? Well, that's going to give you 5 shares to own a company for free to start off. Free ownership is never a bad thing. But you're going to open up a brokerage account. Once you open up the brokerage account, it's now time to assess what types of things do you consume. I'm not going to recommend you go far left field and invest in something you've never heard of, or just because it may be listed as trending or popular or may show up first for you or something like that. I'm going to say start. It's strongly recommended to start to invest in what you already utilize. So start there. Open up the brokerage account, start to invest in what you already utilize. In the event you aren't sure, whatever your favorite brand is, you can do a simple Google search. Do the simple Google search. Simple Google search is going to allow for you to pinpoint the ticker. What is a ticker? A ticker is the nickname. I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as possible. A ticker is gonna be the nickname attached to the stock, which represents the company. So, a prime example of a ticker, Google, whose actual company name is Alphabet, their ticker is GOOGL. Simple enough, right? It's simple enough. Right? So, I'm trying to think about another one. Saves. It's love. I'm tripping. Don't disregard that part. I was about to use another one, but I'm going through a brain fart. So my apologies. So you're gonna open up a brokerage account. You're gonna get a share or shares, however much money you have to blow. You're gonna get shares of what you already buy. In this example, I'm really not wearing too much. This is a public company, except this watch. This watch is Garmin, right? So I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna look up Garmin, right? And then I'm gonna buy a share of Garmin. And my strong recommendation would be save, I believe. Yeah, I was about to say it wrong because I was about to say a whole nother one. So I'm gonna keep it simple with Google because everybody knows what Google is. And so one thing I'm gonna recommend before you own as it relates to equity in the stock market, I'm gonna say look at their charts. I'm not just gonna tell you to. I know I said you should buy what you use, but I'm gonna say look at the charts because the charts don't lie. In the event you look at the charts just over lifetime, 10 years, 5 years, and if it's going down, your company might be disappearing soon. Your favorite brand might be disappearing soon. So in that situation, buy your second favorite brand. In the event the chart is going up, like it's walking upstairs instead of downstairs from before to now, then by all means buy that. It is headed in the right direction. But that's going to be a great, easy way to start, right? You now own pieces of companies you already spend your money with. So whether they make $1 or $5 billion, at least you know you possess ownership of that thing that you already consume, right? Now another thing I'm going to also recommend is look into, in the event you don't own actually, even if you do own your house, whether you own your house or you rent a place, and I don't know why I'm saying house, like everybody can live anywhere, but whether you look into where you live, right? If you own your house, that means you had to take out a mortgage, or at some point you may have possibly financed it and that may be through a bank, mortgage lender, independently of a bank, something of that nature. That is a great first investment. Figure out how to invest into who you pay the most of your money to, right? So if you have a mortgage out on that with Bank of America, I don't know, look into Bank of America. If you bank with the companies, I mean, even if you rent, unless you rent from a private landlord, majority of the big commercial rental properties are owned by public companies as well. You can always look into buying into the company that you rent from. Now you possess ownership, and now even though you're paying your rent, you're paying your rent to see your own profit in the end, right? Or maybe your car, right? Almost every car that is utilized in the US most commonly is a public stock. So that's a great way. Why not own the company that owns your car, that made your car, right? Great way to start investing. Um, Another way is to Thomas. Another way is to look into owning the things that you have to depend on. So Chromebooks are super common, right? So that's going to be Google. What's another one that's super common? Anything Apple. Apple is super common. What else? Huh? Microsoft, right? Microsoft is super common. A lot of these apartment properties owners are getting into Rent Cafe. Ooh, we need to talk about that. Rent Cafe. Make a note of that. I said cars. I said where you live. Um, what else? Your technology. So your phones, 99% of phone companies. I mean, 99% of the companies who make cell phones are stocks. Easy way for you to start owning. Own the company that you pay the most. Your cell phone is probably one of the most commonly high expenses that somebody incurs. Your social media, I don't know how I forgot that one. Your social media is a great way to start earning. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, is not a public company yet, but if you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, I don't think Tumblr has a is I don't think Tumblr is a public company. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. TikTok is not a public company.
You know me. I'm gonna stay in my zone.
TikTok is a public company.
Hold on.
Exactly. Yes, that's another thing. Social media. If you know you spend more of your time on social media than off of social media, let's be real. That's how y'all connected with us. And you've connect YouTube, but YouTube is owned by Google, which I've already touched on. Yeah, all of those Teams, Zoom. You know what I'm saying? Everybody started going full-fledged Zoom parties after lockdown started. Zoom is very much so a stock. All of these are ways for you to take some ownership of the type of life you're already living. And some of these are fairly inexpensive. Your banks, almost every single bank that is a commercial bank is a public company. You might be able to name one or two little small ones in the middle of nowhere that aren't, but almost every commercial bank is a stock. So that's the easy way. What? Why are you looking at me? Okay. So that's a great way to start earning too. In the event you're with Wells Fargo, I'm gonna just say don't do that. But if you're not, then you're great. Also, what's another one? Gas companies. Are gas companies are actually a really great way to start ownership. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because typically with most gas companies, they offer dividends at this point, i.e., they're paying you monthly, quarterly, annually just for taking a stake in ownership with them. So the beauty about that is if you do not set up drip, that means you have some cash deposited into your brokerage account that you can withdraw and use however you want. In the event your setup is drip, what it'll do is it'll take any money that you receive from that stock ownership and reinvest it to own more of it. So next time you receive money, it continue to compounds. Um, that is a great way to elevate your ownership without actually having to work. However, what I really want to encourage people to do, which I don't feel like we talk about, and I'm trying to make sure I can read these well. So please, um, charge it to my head or my heart if I don't see something. Yeah, that's what Jay said. Yes, storage companies as well. Storage. It's so funny she mentioned storage. Storage is a huge one. I'm not sure how many people look around, but a lot of the new construction we're seeing, I can't say for every market, but a lot of the new construction we're seeing build up new construction are for storage units these days. And a lot of those are public companies as well. So in the event you don't have enough space, you've outgrown your space, whatever that situation is for you, Storage is owning storage units is definitely a great idea. It is a phenomenal idea. Why? Because you're already paying this consistent money without a return. However, you're not the only one. So now this allows for you to own it on the back end. One of the things I do want to challenge everybody to do this year, however, to take more ownership without having to start a new venture, is to figure out where your value add is. And when I say your value add, I mean, what do you know, or what skill do you possess, or what quality um, that genuinely has the capacity to add value to any company or any situation can you offer up in exchange for equity? Like what do you possess that, yeah, it can make you some money immediately, but it actually holds so much value that this could truly amplify the success of what somebody else has got, what another company has going on. And I want to challenge you um to offer that up in exchange for equity, in exchange for actual ownership of what they're creating. That's what I want to challenge everybody to. This does not mean you're going to um, necessarily have a deciding stance of equity. And what I mean by that is Google. We talked about Google, so I'm going to stay on Google as my core stock example today. Google has two shares. So they have GOOG and then they have GOOGL, right? One of those shares is a class A, one of those shares is a class B. The class A share allows for you to vote and contribute, have a voice in when it's time to make certain types of decisions. And I don't want to say class B, I want to say class C. I think it's a class C share. The other one does not. It does not allow for you to have a vote. It does not have allow for you to have a dictating role as an owner of the company. However, it does allow for you to benefit. It allows for you to benefit from the growth. It allows for you to benefit from any buyouts. It allows for you to benefit from any dividends. And it allows for you to contribute, not necessarily to share, but in a more intimate relationship. It would allow for you to contribute in the ways in which you are a strength or you are asset, right? To make that value that you now own of the company worth it. Um, and so that is one of the things I want to challenge everybody to do, because we talk about collaboration over competition, right? We talk about that frequently. We try to create spaces for that. However, people move differently when they have the added benefits, or they have something more to lose in the event it does not work out, right? So that is one of the ways that I want a lot of people to consider taking ownership, um, and give yourself access to more diversity without having to. Great way to own the big dogs at discounts. Hands down, you are 100% right, Jay. Well, I own every company. Me or Thomas owns every company that has done a stock split in the last year. All the big ones. I'm not gonna say every company. All the big ones. All the really big companies that have done a stock split in the last like 18 months, me or Thomas own them in our portfolio, including Amazon and Google, who are about to do stock splits. Um, Stock splits are normally a really good sign of growth. So just to be clear, what a stock split is in the public market, the stock market, is when a company has hit a level of growth and their share price per share has gotten to a point where it may not be as accessible for an average person. A prime example of that is going to be Amazon. Amazon's share is like, last time I looked at it, and it was around close to $3,000 for one share. In that situation, A lot of people can't afford $3,000 outright. So Amazon has just announced a 20-for-1 stock split. By them offering this 20-for-1 stock split, that now puts it in a position where it brings down the average to just a couple of $100 for each share, and that makes it very affordable, right? Another example of that would be Apple. Apple announced a stock share at about $300, right? They wanted it to be a lot more accessible. As a result of that, it actually made their price go up to like 500 before the stock split. So by the time they did their stock split, the price was around about 130. It was, however, it made it way more affordable. A lot more people can afford to buy a share of Apple at 130 or $125 than they could at three five to $500, right? Tesla is a good example of that. Tesla did a stock split, a 5-to-1 stock split, which means one share of Tesla got split into five shares of Tesla. And Tesla, if I'm not mistaken, they did that stock split and they were just above $2,000 right before the stock split. So after the stock split, it went down to about just under $500, which is, I believe, where I don't know if Thomas did it before or after. But yeah, so it gives you access. That's the point. And I believe Tesla, Thomas, what is Tesla at right now? It's like, is it over 1,000 again?
No, it's 700.
Okay, so yeah, which is interesting. I think that thing going to go insane. I've been seeing a lot of new Teslas in the market, and I'm not going to say to invest based on this, but I'm saying pay attention to your environment, because here's something really cool about Tesla. Right, one of the things I do when I leave out in the morning now, I count the Teslas I see on the road. And one of the things I've noticed since the oil crisis has began, I noticed a lot more Teslas with paper tags. We all know what a paper tag on a car means. It means, now, on a newer car, it means that it was just recently acquired. On an older car, may mean that people buying paper tags to avoid getting their stuff situated. But on a newer car, it's a sign that new purchases of vehicles are transpiring. And on a Tesla, more commonly, it means that a lot of new purchases. And so that's something that stands out. Those are indicators that sales may exceed what's normal, which means that the growth of the stocks are going to go up. So, granted, you ain't got to go clocking a Tesla every day. You ain't even got to make people understand the value of owning an electric vehicle. Um, all of the factors of reality has people like, you know what, it may be time to get an all electric car. And the car is synonymous with all electric car, despite the fact there are a lot of alternatives, is Tesla. When you hear all electric vehicle, you think Tesla, and then you think about the alternatives that may be also out there in these streets as a that you can use. But instinctively, you think Tesla first, and so I think Tesla is going to see a crazy um, good sales performance during the next earning report as a result of all the oil issues, because gas prices have more than doubled in some markets in a month, and a lot of people can't afford that. So, yeah, that's just something to think about. But to sum it all up, Thomas, can I get a notepad? Ownership. There are numerous ways to do it, and it is fundamentally necessary to step into some new ones. Some of the easiest ways to own more right now is going to be, I need a pen too. Um, you can always start something. You can always start a company. You can always take ownership of some intellectual property by copywriting or trademarking it. Right. You can buy into shares of companies that are public through opening up a brokerage account in the stock market. You can buy into private companies and taking on shares of that, either as an angel investor or a more privatized agreement. You know, we had last week's first Boss Talk had Hot 97.9, DY, one of the co-owners of Hot 97.9, and he talked about how he had this dream to start a mainstream radio station. and his aunt bought an equity share into allowing for him to pursue his dream. So that's always a great way. You could always do it on a more private level as well. Then there's the opportunity to buy into real estate investment trusts. Those aren't always public. You can do it through a number of methods, not just through the stock market specifically. That is an easy way to own. Another way to take ownership is to position yourself to be able to buy real estate, buy companies, right? You can always become a franchise owner or things of that nature. But buying real estate, um, or buying, it could be physical real estate or digital real estate at this point, right? Owning space, owning something, or taking possession of something that you can now allow to accumulate value or generate revenue on its own. And then the way I'm challenging everybody to look into opportunity to take ownership is by assessing what value you hold in information, in skill sets, or in experience, and offer that to a company or to an organization or something in exchange for equity. Offer it in exchange for equity. And personally, I want to recommend you do it in a way that does not require you to take on a full-fledged responsibility as an owner of the company, but it allows for you to contribute in the ways that you already possess value, um, and be able to hold an equity stake in it in exchange for that. So yeah, there are a lot of ways to take ownership. In the event you have no desire to put yourself out that forthright, um, I'm gonna say start with a brokerage account. Those are your marching orders for today. As I mentioned, for somebody that does not have a brokerage account at all, and they're like, I don't know if I get it yet. We just heard that Webull is giving out 5 free stocks. They may be the same, they may be different. Who knows? But it's free ownership of shares. So you can always click the link in our story today, March 16th, and on Facebook or Instagram, and sign up and let them give it to you that way. Once you're there, your next marching orders are going to be, we're doing the free 11 Money Hacks Masterclass this weekend, which is going to talk about a lot as it relates to not just ownership, but ways for you to achieve more economic empowerment, more financial literacy. It is completely free to attend live. It is virtual, so you can attend anywhere in the world. Be sure to text Masterclass to 833-821-5275 to attend live. In the event you can't attend live, there is a recording of it sent out. So you can still text, sign up just to get the recording. We love you guys to life. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure, if you did not make it yesterday, to go check out yesterday's Boss Talk Live with Dream City Sits and Spa. And you can also check out the very first Boss Talk Live that had DY, the owner of Hot 97.9's radio station. We love you guys to life. Be sure to share this with somebody, and hopefully we can continue to grow together. Mm.